Hello, welcome in. Yes, I'm so glad you came to me. Yes, I did get your call. I was a little surprised, to be honest, that you contacted me in general. Yeah. I don't normally get people who contact me from the womb, but I was thinking about it, and you have 9 months in there. That's a lot. That's a lot of time that you're not on the grind. And if you're not on the grind, then what are you doing, right? Absolutely. Well, I know that you've just been born, but you say that you're a landlord. Can you tell me more about that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you bought your first property when you were just 6 months pre-birth. Is that? I see. You bought the womb. I see. Interesting. Very interesting. And you plan on renting it out. Okay, interesting. So you're a landlord. Absolutely. Well, I'm a lawyer. I write wills for a lot of people, and so I imagine you're very interested in just the sort of wills that like a landlord might need, landlord of your caliber, perhaps, or the one that you might become. Yeah. Okay. Well, I can totally help you. Yeah, absolutely. So. I'll just go through all of the basic steps with you. Should be fairly simple and easy. I can kind of, there's a vibe that you're giving off that I can kind of understand. So please, if you have any questions or, I'm going to edit this to your specifications, but if I make an incorrect assumption or anything, please just let me know, okay? Okay, so. First, we are going to go over the basics. That is number one. So the basics would be sort of like your name, just like information that any legal system would necessarily need, right? Second, we're going to go over the executor of your will, right? So the reason why we're doing this and the reason why it's important to do this is that, it's never too early to make a will. Making a will is not only incredibly important, but, for someone who, is on the grind already, you want to make sure that you protect your assets and you protect, where everything that you have strived to earn, you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. And it's one of those things where you want to make sure that they go to the right people. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the executor, we're going to talk about who do you trust, right? To basically have your will, followed. And next we're going to go over guardians for minors. So you yourself are a minor, right? You do have a guardian right now. But if and when you have minors of your own, so you have children, you adopt, you sort of foster. Who am I kidding? You're not going to foster anybody. You're too busy for that. And some people might consider that weak, right? Empathy, it's a little weak. So what I do think that you're going to do is we just want to make sure that we have the information just in case. You never know how you're going to feel later in life, right? And so this will is all encompassing, right? So we'll just go over that. Then we'll go over the same thing, guardians for pets, right? Any pets that you have, because pets are a little bit different, right? Pets can, they can be rehomed, right? In a way that minors and children can't necessarily, they have some sort of a say. So for pets, you want to make sure that, they go to the right people. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. And then the really big one is assets and beneficiaries. We're going to talk about your assets, who they go to, what you're going to do with them, what you have, all of that jazz. Okay. And then next we are going to talk about your debts and taxes. Boo. We don't like that. We don't like debts. We don't like taxes, but you know what? We do have to talk about them. Okay. And then we are going to have to talk about your digital assets. Those are going to be your stocks, crypto, any accounts you have online, that sort of thing, just to make sure that in this modern age, it's very, when someone dies and you don't have a will for someone to get all of that information, get all those accounts, then they just sort of become like dead accounts online, and people don't really know, right? And because we have so many connections, right? Like I'm sure, in the future you're going to have so many connections that are going to form, over your like landlordry, like on Facebook or on, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm sure you're going to be snapping with different landlords back and forth. Absolutely, yeah. And then, of course, we're going to talk about charity, right? Any charitable contributions with the money that you have, and that sort of thing. If there's any causes that are very important to you, to be honest, I don't think that there are many causes that are important to you. It does seem like, you're very about the business, right? For-profit businesses, landlords. I mean, I don't think that you necessarily would want to have any charitable contributions, but it's good to just let you know about that, okay? Okay, so from here, let's actually get into it, right? So let's get into it. So let's talk about the basics first. So you've just been born and you are a landlord, right? That's your identity. So do you have a full name yet? No, you sort of like came straight here. Okay, well, do you want to tell me what your full name is? Goo Goo Gaga. Absolutely, yeah. I think that is going to be very good. Okay. And we want to make sure, so this is a different kind of will, because I am sort of taking you on, and you contacted me very early in your pre-life. So, if you were to say, your cause of death, what do you think would be your cause of death? Yeah, this is important to know, mainly because we want to make sure that the will is good and valid, right? And it's only going to be good and valid if we have all of these contingencies. And we just want to make sure that we get a general idea of who we're working with. So with you, we want to make sure that that we know, like, where do you have any delusions about how you're going to die versus are you rooted in reality, right? So, okay, you do feel like death himself is going to come and like grab you from hell. I do think that's very realistic, to be honest. I do think that a lot of people don't think that that's a proper way to die, but more people die like that than you think. So I'm going to write that down for you, because I don't think you are quite literate yet. I see you have an app to help you with that. Okay. When did you get that? Okay, yeah. Oh, they have free Wi-Fi in there? Okay. Can you tell me, where do you plan to live in the afterlife? Your afterlife address, just in case we have any mail after you're gone, just to make sure that we have contact with you. Okay. Shooting pretty high, huh? Okay. And can you tell me what you project your grind score to be? Now, if you don't know what a grind score is, it's just how much you've grinded throughout your life, right? So, are you on that grind set? Are you busy? Are you booked and busy working 24/7, not sleeping, not eating, just doing what you can to, get ahead of the curve, get ahead of the game, that sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very high is what you're trying to tell me. Okay. Okay. And then can you tell me just a nice projection as to like the number of marriages that you're going to have? You're shooting for 7. Okay. And why 7 exactly? I see. It's sort of like the lucky number, so you want to make sure you have 7. Okay, can you tell me, of those 7, how many do you think, like the number of divorces that you project to have? Because, it is a mathematical formula that we have here to determine, just sort of like how badass of a landlord you are. So, you have 7 marriages, obviously, but then number of divorces, if it's 6, then it's really, you're just married, right? But if you have, no divorces, then what kind of grind set are you doing to get to that level? And are you going to write a book and sell it to people? Okay, yeah, awesome. That's really good. Okay, that's all the basics that I need, really. So we can move on to the executor of your will. This is very, very important, okay? So you don't know any people right now, right, aside from perhaps your mother, that could be the executor of your will. Now, you want to pick someone that you trust, someone that you look up to, someone that you will know wants your best interest and your will. You know, like after you're dead, you have no control, right? So you want to make sure you put your trust in people that have only your best interests at heart, and there is nothing else. So I just have a few suggestions for someone like you, just to keep in mind. These are people that, or organizations, right, that I think they only want your best interest, right? So the first person I think is Elon Musk. You know, very heavy grind set, very of the same mind as you, and I would imagine if you contacted him, he would more than, he would probably not deign to even speak to you. But I do think that if you were to reach out, as a landlord, as someone who is sort of like rising in, in that sort of area of being a leech, I do think that perhaps Elon Musk really fits that bill, right? And so maybe he'll have a kinship with you. Another thing is, just contact any HR department. I think they would be more than happy to help you, just for like a small fee or a large fee. If you know anybody in HR, they tend to be the nicest people in trying to tell you that the company is not at fault, right? So I think that it's incredibly important for you that, an executor of your will has, a company, your company, or, anybody but the people that they are speaking to, their interests, right? So next we can, of course, talk about, if you have a sort of like an ex of some kind, an ex-best friend, that is. If you want to have an ex-best friend to discuss it, I think that would be very, very important, for people like you. And of course you are still a baby, but in the future, you're going to make friends and you're going to lose friends, right? When you're on that grind set, when you're making moves, making money moves, I do think that people end up getting jealous, right? And they end up, they end up leaving you. Think about it, Zuckerberg and that other guy, or Elon Musk and the other person, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you end up letting that person be the executor of your will, not only would you be mending bridges through the afterlife, and therefore you don't have to really address it, they will perhaps use the power of being the executor to do a lot for not necessarily you, but they'll have that sense of like nostalgia, because they were your best friend at some point, right? So this is something to keep in mind. And of course, this is an option that I do think could work. I've seen a lot of people do this. If you sort of get into the online space, you find yourself an e-boy or an e-girl, I do think that you can have them be the executor of your will. They do end up having a lot of sort of interesting information, interesting trivia, and depending on where you meet them, in the online space, of course, I do think that they have only your best interest at heart. So they will be a good option for you. Okay, so next, let's talk about guardians for minors. Okay, so this is if you have any children, if you have anybody that you are taking care of. This could even apply to any minors that you've sort of taken under your wing, right? If you're trying to apprentice people. So first, I want to say, think of your fellow landlords, right? Those are the first people that you want to talk to. You want to talk to make sure that you you send your children towards, because they have excess homes, they have excess land, and you want to make sure that you teach your children young that that landlords are leeches. So you want to make sure that their guardians will still pay, will still charge them rent, right? Because I can only assume that you would charge your children rent. So this is something to keep in mind. And then also, if you don't want to, if say you are the black sheep of the landlord community, if you turn out to be, someone that they don't really like to hang out with, you can go to realtors. Realtors are really good in a pinch, They're not as terrible, and they're definitely not as grind set, but what they lack in that, they make up for it in just like utter charisma and a complete sort of energy. I don't think I've ever met a realtor that doesn't have the energy of like a manic squirrel. So I do think that it's important for you to keep that in mind. Next, of course, think about it this way. You are a landlord already, and you're going to have many, many properties. If, say, you have a strained relationship with your children and you don't want to give them to the best guardians possible, you can, in fact, give them to the tenants of your, of your properties. The reason for this is because I'm sure the tenants are going to hate your guts, right? And so they probably would treat them pretty poorly. You do have to get them to accept it, but you can just make it conditional in the lease. Just tell them it's a standard lease, add it in the fine print, and then screw them over that way, okay? And, if you don't want to do that, I can more than happy to help you do it. Next is guardians for pets. Okay, so from what I understand, pets are a scourge to landlords, right? So, pets are absolutely the worst. They pee on everything. They destroy your property. You're not taking care of your property anyway. But pets and pets only provide emotional and fulfillment towards the people that live with them. So they provide nothing towards you, the landlord, right? And that can't be good. So I would say to either donate or destroy all pets, right? I mean, that just seems the most obvious answer. All right, so let's go to the big one. The big one's going to be your assets. Assets are very important, so let's just get a few ideas as to where you think your assets are going to be. This is more of a projection, and I'll write it up based off of the projection, okay? So thinking about this, how many homes do you think you're going to have that you're going to, force sort of like a lease rentership and sort of destroy the home in that process? How many do you think you're going to do that to? Okay, very good. Shoot high. I think that's very good. Okay, and how many evictions do you think you're going to have? So the reason why we ask how many evictions is because for every eviction, your grind score goes up. But when your grind score goes up, you earn credits, and these credits can be used to redeem all kinds of landlord benefits. It's just one of those things that people don't really talk about unless you get into the landlord game. The more you exploit people and your tenants, the more upset, the more credits you're going to get. And especially the more upset they are, the bonus credits really roll in, so. So how many evictions do you think? Okay. Okay. And we talked about your first owned. That is going to be the womb that you were ejected from. Okay. And what do you think your last owned place is going to be? And what I mean by that is, do you think that, because at some point you're going to have enough homes that you're going to start building a company, right? It's not just going to be you anymore. It's going to be a whole company. And those companies are going to buy homes. They're going to raise the prices of those homes and make sure that no other people and no like private owners can come and buy those homes and potentially live in them. You want to make sure that you buy the homes so that nobody can live in them, and instead you just want to rent them out to make sure that only renting out for a year or two to the same people. You don't want long-term renters. Those are the worst. You want short-term renters. They come so that and every time they leave, just paint everything white. Absolutely perfect, right? I mean, what's better than just white everything? So when it comes to that, do you think that your last owned place is going to, like, personally owned place, is it going to be like a beachfront property? Is it going to be, in the forest somewhere, a cabin? Like what kind of place do you think it's going to be? Okay, that's very good. You know what? That sounds lovely. Does it have a hot tub? Yeah, oh my god, that's great. So here I'm going to ask you a very dastardly question, okay? This is an option that we don't give many people, but your vibes are impeccable, and you are exhibiting a lot of aura. So what I want to say is that we do offer a service to transfer a lot of these assets to the afterlife. Now hear me out. This is a very exclusive offer. It's going to be contingent on you actually fulfilling a lot of these grind set goals that we're putting down. But if you do, what ends up happening is that you can do the ultimate thing, and with your death, deny so many people like so many things that you've been hoarding, right? So I think what's going to be pretty important here is if we transfer it to the afterlife, then, you're just removing all of those resources, sort of as like your last hurrah, transferring everything to the afterlife. So it is an option. Okay. You'll think about it. Okay. Oh, you're going to do it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I will put that in as an addendum just in case. Okay. Okay. Now let's move on to your debts and taxes. Okay, so here we only have one option here. It's the only real option for people like you, right? Evasion, tax evasion. So I'll just take that off for you and move on. Okay. Let's talk about digital assets. So, the internet landscape is going to be a little different as you grow up, but, what we're going to have to talk about is just all of the different accounts that you want people to have access to after you're gone, right? So your Twitter/X account, where, you trolled a lot of people, your Facebook, where you posted, where I'm sure you're going to post like a bunch of really horrible memes, your Instagram, where you post really terrible photos, Grindr, I think that's going to be pretty important. Your crypto account, your crypto wallet, I think that's very important. That could go into your assets, actually. And we could transfer that if you don't want anyone to get your crypto, But, that is one thing that I think that you're gonna grind so hard, you're gonna fall into the crypto hole, and I'm not sure you're gonna get out of it, So let's just see. We'll see how it goes. And of course, Hinge, your Hinge account. And this is at one point you get into like sort of retro websites, I think is what's going to happen. And you're going to get into DeviantArt. And so we're going to have that DeviantArt account. Yeah. Because at one point I do think that you sort of give up the grind set, try to become an artist, and you fail at that. And then you just go back to being a grinder. Yeah. Okay. And lastly, let's talk about charitable donations, right? Any of the assets that you have, any of the money that you have, like if there's any charities that you want to donate to. Now, over here for this form that is I sort of picked specifically for you, it just says LOL, because I don't think you're one to donate to charities, right? And not in the kind of like way in which you think that, profitable, like charities that are for profit are bad, but in the way that you think that, nobody should get charity ever, right? Yeah, called it, absolutely. Okay, so with that, we have all of the information written down. So I will get that all typed up and ready for you. Now, I do think you are starting to raise it a little bit. You still have a lot of the sort of like birth gunk on you, so I'm sure the nurses are going to come, but I'm glad that you booked this, this very nice room in this place to have this meeting with me. Okay? All right, well, I'll get that. And you just give me a call if you have any questions or if you want to edit anything. I will send that over to you. It's really interesting that you because you had free Wi-Fi in there, you were able to set up an email already. That's amazing. Technology is it's a wonder what they do these days. Did they just sort of shoot a needle in there and just give you a laptop or something? Okay, all right. Well, you have a good one then.